What is up, guys, and welcome to the first video of mine. Might be the last video of mine, might be the start of something great. I honestly don't know. I couldn't tell you. What I can tell you though is that YouTube's been missing something. Great platform, great content. Like I'm a big enjoyer myself. But where are all the tier lists at, man? Why is no one out here making tier lists? There's just such a big opportunity to do something new here, and I'm here to seize that and give you guys an important tier list actually. As today we're going to be ranking the albums of none other than the boy himself, Mr. Drizzy Drake, Mr. Aubrey Graham, Mr. Champagne Papi. And this is not just any tier list, no, because I actually rated every single Drake song from every one of his albums. I won't talk about every rating because I don't think anyone cares, but I care and I know Drake cares. So I'll just pop them up on screen or something and you guys can take a look, because if not, like, what was the point? Anyways, yeah, man, just like, I guess, comment, subscribe, and we'll get into it.
I'm just so far gone.
So Far Gone. It's the one that started it all. I know he had mixtapes before. We're not counting that. But yeah, this came out in 2009, and I was born in 2002. So I'm not gonna pretend like I was bumping this a ton in grade 2, but like going back and re-listening to it, when I say it started it all, like it really did. You can hear the beginnings of all the things that made Drake, the sad boy, moody R&B, but also a confident rap combo, the relatable lyrics throughout the whole thing, the Lil Wayne features. It's all right there from the start, man. And I mean, like, the best I ever had, I'm pretty sure I was bumping back in grade 2 actually. So it's not like he wasn't hitting the charts back then, and it was only the beginning of that. So yeah, we'll go with B for beginning.
Thank me later, yeah, I know what I said.
I honestly think I could say like all the same things for Thank Me Later that I said for So Far Gone. Like maybe I just put them both together because they're both kind of a bit ahead of my time, but I just honestly think it is a good extension of the same stuff he was doing on So Far Gone. We got Over on here, Up All Night, Fancy, Miss Me, some really good early Drake songs, but I still don't think we're at Drake's best. I think it is another solid B.
I'll take care of you.
Okay, looking at these next 3 albums, we're definitely in the big leagues. I think it's pretty safe to say these are my top 3 Drake albums. I don't think that's like a super hot take or anything, though I do see some people say like new Drake is better, but like, bro, just go listen to these. I mean, for one, the production top notch. But then Drake himself just sounds so much hungrier and focused back then. That's the main difference. I don't know, you can just hear it in his flow, his energy, and then like the bars themselves, like the lyrics actually have some substance to them, as opposed to some of Drake's new bars that literally sound AI generated like half the time. For me, this run right here really is Drake's like superstar journey, and I still like a lot of his albums since, but I think since these albums dropped, I mean, nothing was the same. That being said, I'm only gonna put one of these albums in S, one for the sake of balancing the tier list, but also because I do think it is a touch above, more complete than the other 2, and that's going to be Take Care. You're getting all sides of Drake here, which, like, to be fair, you do get on most of his projects, but here it's still done in a way that's super cohesive throughout the whole thing, like both thematically and musically. Looking through the track list, there's absolutely no misses. I mean, Headlines, Crew Love, Take Care, Marvin's Room, I could name every song. Overall, it's an easy yes.
You might feel like nothing was the same. I still been drinking on the low.
Okay, I kind of already spoiled the placement in the way I talked about these albums, but if Nothing Was the Same is not an S, it's easily an A. Basically for all the same reasons I was just talking about. I mean, the production, the cohesion, the effort, like it's another total package. I think the good songs on here are just as good as Take Care, For This Thing, Wu-Tang Forever, From Time. Are you kidding me? From Time? But there is a couple here that I'm not a fan of at all. I don't like Own It or 305 in My City, and I think they're just mid enough for me to drop it down to an A if I'm looking at the whole album.
Best I ever had seems like a decade ago. Decade and flow, and I still got a decade to go.
If you're reading this, it's too late. The Surprise mixtape from 2015 from Drake, another classic. I think this project has some of my favorite beats from Drake. They're super unique, but still so like catchy. And then the big appeal for this one for me is just like the conviction that Drake himself brings. He's just at the peak of his powers at this time, and like he knows it, and he wants you to know it too. Only negative I would say maybe is it does have a little less substance to it than Take Care and Nothing Was the Same, and it's literally a mixtape, so like obviously, but it is mainly just Drake like bragging for an hour, other than Jungle, which what a beautiful song by the way. So yeah, overall I'm gonna give it an A, but again, if you caught me on another day, I would give all 3 of these S's, honestly.
Man, what a time to be alive.
Moving on now to What a Time to Be Alive, Drake and Future's collab project. This was the Drake collab trap banger before Her Loss, and going back and re-listening, for me, I think it is better than Her Loss. Drake and Future were just absolutely in their bags on this thing, man. Digital Dash, Live from the Gutter, Jumpman, obviously, Big Rings. This song kind of sucks, actually. I got a really big team. We need some really big rings. Shut up, Drake. But yeah, there's definitely like a victory lap vibe to this whole project here, which I think makes sense. And then I like that it's short and concise. I think they made like the whole thing in like a week, which is pretty sick. Overall, I think we're gonna go back to another B for What a Time to Be Alive.
It's cold like Alaska. Views already a classic.
Next up, we got Views, and this is the first Drake album. Actually, honestly, might be like first any album that I actually remember being ready for and waiting on its release date. And I also remember listening on its release day and being a little underwhelmed, mainly because it was his biggest release since Take Care, Nothing Was the Same. Since the two after that were pretty surprise drops. And since these albums were so good, I just don't think Views reached that same height. But once you do, just take it for what it is, which is a much more laid back, introspective Drake. I think kind of on the come down from all his previous success. The album really grows on you, and I mean, it does have some of my favorite Drake songs ever in Child's Play and Feel No Ways. Redemption, Western Road Flows are both great too. But ultimately, I think it's just way too long, man. I think in terms of how many songs there are on the album, and then like the length of the songs themselves, where they have these like 30-second intros and minute-long outros. I think it can drag on when you're listening to the entire album, and for that, I'm gonna go with a B for boring, but some bangers.
More time with family and friends, more life.
Okay, looking at our tier list so far, clearly I like Drake. If I were to summarize Drake's career so far, I think So Far Gone, Thank Me Later, this was like the come up. Then we got the peak with these 3 albums here. We got our victory lap with What a Time to Be Alive. And then Views, I think, is kind of like our reflection. So what now, you might ask? And for me, this is where we start to hit the midlife crisis phase of Drake's career, where he's just doing absolutely whatever he wants. Like with More Life, I think this album, playlist, it's not like I hate it, but it just feels so lazy in comparison to his past stuff and not nearly as consistent. Now, I mean, like most of these songs still did huge numbers, mainly because Drake was just like untouchable at this point. And I won't deny that like these were going hard in high school, but I don't think any of the songs have aged super well in my opinion, with the exception of Passion Fruit, which is an absolute timeless classic, even if I have to skip the stupid intro every time.
Hold on.
But because of the lack of consistency here, I think it's going to be Drake's first C for me.
This is God's plan, young man. You said it yourself.
Now, Scorpion actually is pretty consistent, to be fair. It's just, unfortunately, consistently super not great. And it's way too long. This album's like an hour and a half long. And I promise Drake does not have an hour and a half worth of interesting things to say at this point. The whole side A, side B thing also didn't really do it for me. It was supposed to be like one rap side, one R&B side. But for me, it's more like mid A and then mid B. The best 2 songs on here are probably God's Plan and Nice for What, which were huge singles and actually really good singles in my opinion. But I don't even really consider them part of the album because they dropped separately and they don't even really fit with the rest of the album. I wanted to love this album. Like I'd already bought tickets to the Scorpion tour. I went to the tour and it was good, but the album itself, I mean, is a disappointment. It's going to be a D.
I'm outside in an AMG, right outside, TT.
We're not counting Care Package since it was just a collection of old songs. So next up we have Dark Lanes. Another sort of surprise mixtape, I guess, from Drake. It was just a collection of some songs that had leaked and then also some new stuff. And I mean, for what it was, I actually think it is a bit of a return to form for Drake. No one ever really talks about it. I think it kind of went under the radar, but I don't know. I was a big fan of a lot of these songs. Even Tootsie Slide, which got a lot of hate and probably is the worst song on here. But like, I don't know, it's kind of a bop, bro. And the good songs on here, like Not You Too and Time Flies, I think it's Drake at his best. Getting this out of nowhere, it was a pleasant surprise. And for that, I'm gonna go with another B.
Tried to run it back 100 times. The world is yours, but the city's mine.
I remember Drake dropped a trailer for this album on Instagram and I was super hyped. It was kind of like this journey of him like traveling through his past albums, and it was sick. Even though I wasn't thrilled about the name or the stupid heart haircut or the album cover, I think he went 0 for 3 on all of those, to be honest. And for the album itself, it's really all over the place. I think it reminds me a lot of More Life in that regard. We get some great R&B Drake with Pipe Down and Raise My Mind. Champagne Poetry and Remorse are both great as intros and outros, but it's just mixed in between with so much goofiness that it's hard for me to take him seriously. Like, I get he's having fun, but I'm not having fun. It's a C.
I don't wanna.
Another surprise release here with Honestly Nevermind, which saw Drake on his house wave. I really do respect Drake here for trying something different, because a lot of people would say he's never really taken any risks in his career. And here he does, but unfortunately the execution itself doesn't pay off for me. And it's not because I don't like house music. Like, some fans of this album try to say if you didn't like it, it's because you only listen to trap, hip hop, Lil Baby. But no, I like house music. This is just a flat unfinished version of it. Half the songs just feel so empty to me, and like, I don't know, maybe that was the style, but I don't really like the production or Drake's vocals here. I'm not going F though. I'm actually going to give it another D because he does occasionally make it work very well. A Keeper, Flights Booked, Massive, I can totally see the vision. And then Sticky is really good too, but that's more of a typical rap song. And same with Jimmy Cooks, which is a good preview for our final album.
21, can you do something for me?
21.
Her Loss. Now I already compared Her Loss with What a Time to Be Alive, because they really are the same vibe. It's just Drake bringing a buddy along to flex for like an hour. And like I said before, I think I did like it back on What a Time to Be Alive more, because for me, I don't know, the flexing about your bachelor party lifestyle, it just doesn't really hit as hard when you're 36 and Adonis has class in the morning. I would probably let it slide though if it also wasn't for the fact that like it's just not really being done in any new interesting way. I think the production leaves a lot to be desired, and then the lyrics too often sound like the stuff that you come up with when you're freestyling with the boys in the basement at 2 a.m. I don't think it's awful at all though. I think it's really clear that Drake and 21 were just having fun flirting in the studio. I'm willing to give the fun pass here more because it was a surprise release compared to Certified Lover Boy. And then I also love the outro. I think Drake gives a solid, candid update on the problems in his life, and it's pretty interesting to hear. Overall, I'm going to give it a C to wrap up our tier list. And there we have it, man. The official Drake album rankings. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. And okay, even with these C and D albums, like they're C and D for Drake standards. Like you saw, they all have songs that I rate. But anyway, for anyone that is still here, thank you for coming along this journey. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. And Drake, if you're watching this, I love you.